California's bullet train to nowhere, supposed to link San Francisco with LA in 3 hours. Well, it was supposed to be built by 2020, and it's billions and billions of dollars. I think the original estimate was 30 billion. It's way over 100 billion now, and not one track has actually been built and completed. They got nothing. But California High-Speed Rail CEO seeks support for private funding. We need to do a collaboration between government and private equity, and we can get this bad boy done. Because whenever you just dump more money into something, that just guarantees that it gets done, right? Right? No? Oh, let's get into it. Here we go.
The head of California's high-speed rail project, 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗣𝗏's funding plan would commit the state to paying back private investors, possibly with interest, to give the state more time to cover the cost.
Yeah.
𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬 worked on high-speed rail projects in Europe and believes connecting San Francisco to Los Angeles via the Central Valley is well worth it.
California high-speed rail project is really not about just moving people from point A to B. It's not about having a bunch of business people from San Francisco trying to get to LA for their business meetings. It is connecting communities all the way, and especially Central Valley, which has been ignored from the main arterial highway system for a very
Okay. All right.
California's high-speed rail still faces strong opposition. The Trump administration threatened to pull $4 billion in federal funding earlier this year. Republican state lawmakers have opposed the project since its inception and say it is time to stop.
So this project is more expensive than the whole enchilada of our whole state budget. When I say that, it means K through 12, the transportation system, CSU, UC, healthcare, everything we spend in the state is less expensive than this one project. And this has been so mismanaged. My dad always taught me, if you dig a hole for yourself, the best way to get out of that hole is to stop digging.
You have opponents of big programs. And
Let's see. If you're digging a hole for yourself, best way to stop that is to stop digging. Agreed. I would not disagree with that. That is reasonable, isn't it? California's just digging with no regard for budget. 100 billion, who's counting? Let's go 200 billion. Let's get some of that private equity funding in here. Should be great. We'll cut them a deal. And then taxpayers, you're going to be on the hook. One way or the other, you're on the hook for this, right? Because this isn't private. Governmental project. $1 billion boondoggle, right? It's insane.
other countries, while you're trying to build it. But once it's built and done, those people who were critiques are the biggest beneficiaries of when the system is in place.
The project's price tag now exceeds $100 billion, more than triple the initial estimate. It has mostly been funded by the state through the voter-approved bond and money from the state's cap-and-trade program. A little less than a quarter of the money has come from the federal government. If the project does become fully funded and continues to move forward, the first phase is not expected to be complete until at least 2033.
And that's just a total estimate, right? I mean, it's an estimate based on what? Who knows? It's my understanding that the eminent domain process has been handled, meaning government's ability to take over land for the public good. That part, all the land pieces are in place. And they've got a bunch of structures built, but nothing finished out, and zero rail built. Actual boots on the ground rail built. But let's get some private equity money in there. Let's get this bad boy finished. All I can think of is this. Get out the popcorn, right? Get out the popcorn, because this ain't getting better. It's only going to get worse. This requires a builder to come in and run it, because it is such an absolute debacle with where it sits right now. You need a builder to come in, somebody who's just willing to just do whatever it takes. You got to stomp on some people. You got to stomp on some people to make it happen. That is unfortunately how this goes. And with California in charge here, California high-speed rail project could finally attract private capital if state leaders provide financial guarantees, according to the authority's CEO, 𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗍. It's reported by the Railway Transport News portal, Railway Supply. That's what I'm reading from right now. Yeah, Railway Supply. I don't think I've ever read from Railway Supply, but here we are, never say never. Now, this is one of those things where you look at the governmental spending on this and the budget overruns, and you're like, okay, so this has been awful. It's been terrible. Let's just throw more money at it. I mean, that is not what you can't in private business, in business that actually has to run off a profit and loss. You can't run a business like this because you don't have just this never ending budget to cover the deficit. You don't have that ability. And that's why we're talking about the easiest way if you're digging a hole is to stop digging. Do you absolutely tank what's going on? No. I mean, if you're Gavin Newsom, you're not going to do that. Would that be the smart thing? Probably. I mean, if this is a $200 billion project, how long does the payout take to have this make sense from a financial standpoint? What's the benefit? Is there that much benefit? I mean, it's going to take years for this return to come back around, isn't it? Isn't it? I mean, I'm no railway high-speed bullet train expert, but when you're that far over, I mean, they were having a tough time at 30 billion when they're getting this bad boy going. And now you're at 100 and you're looking around for money. Podcaster Newsom has committed another $1 billion a year from the cap and trade program, but that's only $1 billion. They're looking for $7 billion right now, just on the beginning of summer 2025, just to get through summer of 2026. $7 billion they don't have. And you've got a $10 billion, $12 billion, whatever it is you want to call it, budget deficit, state of California. And they're looking to do this, they're looking to do that. Meanwhile, they got caught with their pants down with this project, because this one to me is, it's one of those really, it'd be really cool if it was done. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to go from LA to San Fran in 3 hours? You betcha. Not have to fly. I mean, I'd take that trip. And for all those folks and for, all the stuff that's in the middle that we talked about there, all those areas, yeah, it would make sense. But at what cost? And that's what we're talking about. Let's just get some private equity funding in there. Should be great. 𝗧𝗠𝗘, appointed in August, aims to rescue the California high-speed rail plan. Originally designed to link San Fran and LA in under 3 hours, he emphasized that a turnaround requires stable funding and public-private cooperation. Again, if this were a for-profit business, this would have been capped years ago. This was started in, 07, 08? Here we are, 25, and nothing's been laid down. I mean, this is one of the biggest boondoggles of all time. And Gruesome Newsom's on the clock. Podcaster Newsom. So you've got this boondoggle, the light raid, the bullet train to nowhere. You got homelessness. You have a massive spike in crime. I mean, the list, you've got the whole gasoline refinery issue with California having some of the highest prices. You've got just cost of living. You've got cost of housing. You've got, these are all things that Gavin Newsom is trying to get out from underneath as far as the optics go for his 2028 presidential run. It's not a coincidence that we're talking about these. It's not a coincidence that these are on the daily schedule rotation of how can we make the optics of this look better? That's what you got going here. Oh, good Lord. Spent how many billions and nothing's really happened yet? All right, just throw some more money in there. It'll work. It'll be fine. It'll be just good. Voters approved a $10 billion in bonds back in 08. $10 billion in 08. All right. I mean, that's not crazy. To cover a third of the original budget, expecting completion by 2020. Yeah. Didn't happen, did it? No. California, shocker, didn't get their big project done in time. Today, the estimated cost has skyrocketed to over $100 billion. If it's now $100 billion and no track has yet been laid, Didn't lay any track. No train has been run. No pun intended. Where do we sit? Yeah, where do we sit? I would love to know exactly what percentage of this project has been actually completed. Got all your land and you got all your designs. You got your mock-ups. You got all that good stuff. Is that in place? How much of that is in place? What percentage of this absolute crazy project has been created? I'd love to know, right? We'll never know. State has contributed most funding so far, including from its cap and trade program. Federal contributions have accounted for less than 25%. And podcaster Newsom has, basically thrown out that we need some federal help. And you know what Trump has done? No. It's the worst conceived project of all time. It's terrible. You need somebody to take that over. That's contractor Trump talking, right? He's like, no, that's awful. That's just mismanagement, absolute mismanagement. And it has been. Why? I think what so much of it is they didn't know going into it. They just had this, let's get this done. We'll throw out an estimate of $30 billion. I mean, it couldn't cost that much more, give or take 5, right? I don't know what those numbers were, but they got it on the books. They pitched it. They pitched it well, right? And here we are, 100 billion, 200 billion. I mean, if it's 100 billion now, and we haven't built anything, odds of it doubling in cost, pretty high. Beauty of having, talk a bunch of babble on a podcast is we can look back and see, oh yeah, Sean was wildly off there. Probably wouldn't go to Vegas with those odds, but, I think I've got a pretty good shot at 200 billion or more. How about that? Or more. With bond funds exhausted, California must develop a financing plan for the Central Valley section by mid-2026. It's like going to a bank and saying, I need this amount of money to build this apartment complex because this is going to be the best thing ever. And you don't get it built, you spend all the money, and you got nothing to show for it. And then you go to Guido the Killer Pimp and say, hey, Guido, I need a loan. I need some private equity funding. That's what I need because trust me, this is going to be great. And Guido says, you betcha. Here's the big, right? I mean, we could do that. It's going to cost you. Then when they're saying with interest, you think? And it's guaranteed by none other than you, California, the taxpayer. And eventually this will be a federal debacle, right? Eventually. With bond funds exhausted, California must develop a financing plan for the Central Valley section by mid-2026. And those are areas that would really benefit, I think. I mean, from just a planning standpoint, Central Valley, getting this through it, you betcha. I mean, that makes sense. But at what cost? And then And where do they have it from and to right now? It's not very far. It's not far at all. It's like they're doing it in segments. Why don't you get a bite-sized piece of this done first, and then we'll revisit, and we'll see if we can collateralize something else for your funding for moving this forward. But why don't you get from one small town to another town done? Well, how about that? We just see if it can go. Does it really go 220 miles an hour? I'm just talking out of my backside right now. I have no idea about any of this stuff. But I do know an absolute train wreck of a project when I see it based on budget and time of completion. Yeah. Some project manager has been fired, then apparently rehired, and then fired. To date, the authority has spent approximately $13 billion without additional funds. San Francisco to LA. Remember, $13 billion's been spent. And nothing's happened because it's all that behind the scenes stuff. It's all that planning. It's all that getting the land lined up. Without additional funds, San Francisco to LA corridor will remain incomplete in another 20 years, 𝗧𝗠𝗘 warned. But throw us some money now because this makes sense. This is going to be great. It's the next best thing. What could possibly go wrong? 𝗧𝗠𝗘 is in active discussion. He's in active discussions with Governor Gavin Newsom's administration and lawmakers. Got to remember, Newsom is under incredible pressure to get the optics of so much of this squared away. You don't actually have to get it squared away. You just have to be able to point to optics which show, oh yeah, we've had a remarkable turnaround. And therefore, as a result, Governor Newsom, and responsible for this project having such a wonderful turnaround. And I can do that with the United States of America. Vote for me, 2028. That's where this is going. It's where this is going. He stated that without private sector involvement, the state may need to issue new bonds or seek federal funds. You think? Yeah. Hey, California residents, I got a deal for you. We're just going to put a scooch of more money into this bullet train going to nowhere. We're just going to what do you think the the whole thing to me, it's laughable. It is literally laughable. You're like, what is going on here? I've never seen a public project like this, but this is, in all defense, this is news for reasonable people. This is a massive, massive project, but other projects have been undertaken like this and they don't end up like this. So why is that? Why is it every time California or some West Coast, Best Coast state touches something like this, it just becomes a boondoggle? Is it leadership? What is it? You know what I mean? You're like, oh, how's that one going? Not good. Private investors showed interest at a recent industry forum. Yeah, what were the terms that were thrown out? Oh, I'm interested. You betcha. But they need state-backed repayment guarantees. How's that going to go with the public? Does the public even have any input on that? Probably not. Probably just some executive order. That's what we're doing. Lou Thompson, head of the state's peer review panel, noted that lack of consistent funding has plagued the project from the start. Okay. Well, that's kind of a problem, right? I mean, so you just kind of went ahead and, hey, we don't have consistent funding, but let's do this because it's a good idea. The whole thing, just from start to finish, so far, has just been, you hate to say it, but a train wreck. Train wreck. Kind of like that Mexican naval ship crashing into, what was it, Brooklyn Bridge? Lost control of their navigation system, lost control of their rudder. I don't know what they lost control of. Two guys went down. They were up on the rigging and they fell from 100 and whatever feet up, smashed that sail. If you haven't seen that footage, that is some scary stuff. Terrible. But that was a Mexican ship training officers for the Mexican Navy and just killed a couple of dudes and terrible. Losing federal support could trigger a full reassessment of the project's future. You think so? We were hoping all America's taxpayers would fund this one. To prevent further delays, 𝗧𝗠𝗘, the specialist, come in to get that private capital coming. 𝗧𝗠𝗘 is focused on restoring trust. How do you do that? How do you restore trust when you look at the actual facts, which were, well, this is supposed to have been done 5 years ago, but we'd like you to contribute $50 billion, $100 billion? And like the guy said, the Republican said, $100 billion takes up way more than the entire budget. To prevent further delays, 𝗧𝗠𝗘 is focused on restoring trust and positioning California's high-speed rail as a viable, long-term infrastructure solution. All right. How? You know what I mean? When I look at this stuff, I'm like, how in the world does this make any sense at all? I get it. You're going to open up development of areas in California that haven't had that ability because you don't have a way to get there to and fro. Does this make sense on a conceptual basis? Absolutely. Plenty of other cities throughout the world have high-speed rail. They've done it in much more densely populated urban areas. They've done it. California? It just feels like West Coast, trying to build anything like this is just, we're going to give it a good go. And at the end of the day, we'll just ask taxpayers for more money. And that's where we sit. Just an absolute boondoggle. But you know what? Like I say, you got to be a glass half full kind of guy. And based on that, I've got podcasts for days, weeks, months, years. Some are now saying, you reasonable people out there, you are now saying decades. Now we're already 7 years in on this, or how many years in on this project? Oh, we're 5 years over when they estimated to be done. We're already 5 years over. Decades? Probably. probably decades on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell, hit the like button, all that good stuff that helps the algorithm. Appreciate it in advance. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.